Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin Bloom. Welcome along to the Championship review. It is another 3-game week, number 500 of the season, so I'll get on to the preview stuff tomorrow. We are reviewing game week 34, so this weekend's business, and only 12 games to go now. It really has flown by, and not a lot of time for people to get their houses in order now, let's just say. Do say hello if you are in the chat, and do get involved, because I was League One-ing it this past weekend. Being an Ipswich fan, I do that from time to time. I did take in Derby and Fulham on Friday night. I was at that game, but off the radar on Saturday watching Ipswich lose at home to Oxford. So this game week sees West Brom and Leeds pretty decisively now. West Brom 9 points clear of third place. Fulham, they got a win. Leeds also got a win. They have now opened up a 5-point gap. Ian asks where I'm going this week. I will be at Luton versus Brentford tomorrow night, and shudder in your boots, Leeds fans. I will be at Hull on Saturday lunchtime, so 2 games for me. But the Leeds curse is done now, isn't it, since that Brentford game? Down the bottom, look at this. Middlesbrough getting sucked right down into it. Huddersfield still can't get away. Wigan and Barnsley win on the same day. Barnsley, we've written them off, have now got 2 straight wins as well. Adam says, went to the Leeds-Reading game. Reading were really strong in the first half, crumbled in the second. Leeds high press, unstoppable. We have heard that before. So, more interesting down the bottom, maybe, than it is at the top. Of Middlesbrough on the slide again. It seems like form just reversing, doesn't it? Middlesbrough go on a good run and then drop off. Barnsley go on a bad run and now go on to a good run. All over the place, isn't it? Almost like the Championship's unpredictable, isn't it? Hey, right, let's talk West Brom, because they battered Bristol City. Big result there, because Bristol City starting the day, they started the day 7th and stayed in 7th. Eco-terrorist says he's last to the party. Don't you worry, you come and join us. Martin says, big week for Luton with 2 home games coming up. Yes, indeed. Let's talk West Brom, because Callum Robinson gave them the lead. Robson Kanu made it 2-0. And Robson Kanu also getting the third. Ian says, I hope you finally see Leeds win. When did I last see Leeds win? Opening day of the season against Bristol City. Holy crap, that's incredible. So 3-0 to West Brom, going away to Bristol City, who are not a bad team by any stretch. West Brom are in really good form again now, off the back of that bad run. Pereira returning, win, draw, win. I make that 13 points from the last 5. That's superb form. And 12 games to go, 9 points lead. I always think when it starts getting to around 1 point for every game, then you know you're pretty much there. Talk Leeds us. Am I an Ipswich fan? Yes, I am an Ipswich fan for my sins. But still, Championship channel this one. So yeah, great win for West Brom. Only soured slightly by Romain Sawyer's red card. He one of these weird ones where, by the letter of the law, the ref can send him off. He kind of sort of shoves the guy back, but he puts his hand by his throat and gets a straight red. So I assume that's violent conduct, even though it's not very violent, but the act of putting your hand to someone's throat is apparently violent enough. So Sawyers will be out for the next 3 games. Samuel says, would Ben be secretly satisfied if Leeds didn't go up to ensure the continued growth of his channel? You think Leeds are good for ratings? Yeah, Leeds are good for ratings. But look, the cream will always rise. And if Leeds go, I will bid them a fond farewell in the same way I did Sheffield United and Norwich and Aston Villa. And we might see a couple of them back next season. Anyway, so yeah, Sawyer's out, but West Brom going great guns. I'm trying to think what the solution will be there in central midfield. Oh, goal of the weekend. Someone get some ideas in the chat there for goal of the weekend. West Brom on really good form though. They stay top and they are 9 points clear of third place Fulham. Let's talk about Leeds, because it feels like we've seen this before. Leeds winning 1-0 at home, keeping a clean sheet, dominating the ball, creating 15 chances, but only scoring one goal. Watkins' goal was excellent. Hogan volley was decent. A few contenders in there already. Pablo Hernandez, nice to see him on the score sheet. Jasper says Pablo goal of the weekend. Bit bobbly bumpy, but he springs up and pokes it in. Not the most Pablo-esque goal, but still showed quick thinking. Mick says West Brom for champions, looking that way, Mick, at the moment, isn't it? As usual in the Championship, no one cares whether they win the title until they're promoted. Anyway, John says Watkins was the best for me. Brilliant finish. So Leeds have picked it back up. Remember, we had those 2 consecutive defeats at home to Wigan and then Forest. Then they went to Brentford. Calvin Phillips came back, and it's been 2 wins since then. 2 home games, 2 clean sheets, no problems for Kiko. I believe Phillips went off hurt in this one, so Leeds fans will hope that he is okay. We're into another 3-game week. Ian says if Leeds go up, I will still watch your Championship content, and that's very kind. And a lot of people still do from teams that have gone up. We've got a lot of Blades still hang around here as well. Some Norwich fans, some Villa fans as well, hung over from last season. So it's looking nice. Let's look at this 3-game week for Leeds and West Brom. Leeds go to Borough, Jonathan Woodgate's Borough, and then go to Hull. So 2 away games there. There you go. Eco Terrorist is Norwich fan here. Samuel Phillips told Ian Wright he was fine. No idea why. Random injury link of the week. West Brom are at home to Preston. That's a bit trickier. And then at home to Wigan. So Leeds 2 away games. West Brom 2 home games. We'll see how that one pans out. Leeds all looks like it's calmed down a little bit now at Leeds, doesn't it? There was a real sense of panic with Kiko. Oh, Mick, another Norwich fan there. Yeah, well, Mick, as an Ipswich fan, I'm not looking forward to the 100 points you're probably going to score in the Championship next season. So there we go. But we will welcome Norwich back with open arms if they do come back down. So yeah, Leeds looking good. We've just got the Kiko hearing, haven't we? But Meslier looks ready to go if it is a 6-game ban like Phil Hay seems to think it's going to be for Kiko whenever that finally gets sorted out. I'm sure some of the Leeds in the chat will be able to tell us when that hearing is actually going to be settled. Leeds and West Brom, good day for both. When I look at the top of the table, it says win for both of them. And then the next 3, it says draw, draw, draw. So they've taken 2 points out of Fulham, Brentford and Forest. Reminds you of before Christmas. I wonder if they can build up that type of lead again. And I mean, by the end of the week, it's going to be 10 games to go. If West Brom have got a 10-point lead with 10 games to go, they're up, aren't they? Basically a 10-point lead over Fulham. So interesting few days, and we know Fulham have got a hard run-in. You can watch my excellent video on all the run-ins of all the teams. Speaking of Fulham, I was at their game. Derby Fulham, it was 1-1. Rooney, really lovely penalty, a little Panenka in there, and then Mitrovic as ever bails Fulham out. Derby deserved to win this one, really. Fulham get bailed out by Big Mitro, and Leeds and West Brom fans will be pleased to hear that type of performance by Fulham is not going to be enough intensity, enough pace, enough chance creation, etc. to get them anywhere near the top 2. I know they can go up a level, but they weren't really at it. Too patient, not good against a team that had a solid team shape. But I suppose, well, Mitrovic is there. Yeah, you're going to get barged away for a few games, but Fulham only 2 points in the last 3 now. That is not a good time to slow down, considering Leeds have put 7 on. Yeah, Leeds and West Brom have both put 7 on in the last 3 games as opposed to 2. So there's your 5-point gap. Leeds straight away over those a couple of games, isn't it? So Fulham stay in 3rd. They need to kick the form on a little bit. Let's just have a little gander, see who they've got in the midweek. And they're at home to Swansea and then at home to Preston. Preston have got a hard week, haven't they? So yeah, not easy games. Talk Leeds says Birmingham dark horses for the playoffs. When did Birmingham last lose? It feels like a fair while, doesn't it? Brentford were the early game, but they did not get the victory that would have put a lot of pressure on that top two. We could have had, well, Brentford could have been in third place, given that Fulham had played the night before. They draw 2-2, but they come back from 2-0 down. How could a Blackburn almost like they're better without Dak? I think we'll do a video on this at the end of the season. When you add up, and I like doing this, expectation of club to performance of manager, Tony Mowbray, well, tell me in the chat who's actually got a better expectations to reality than how Blackburn are doing at the moment. Maybe Preston and Forest a little bit, but you'd expect West Brom, you expect Leeds, you expect Fulham to all be up there, but for Blackburn to be 8th and going to Brentford and going 2-0 up, it was Armstrong with both of the goals. Watkins, we've had some good praise for his goal. Ben Rama sticks the penalty, and so that front three is up to something like 41 goals between the three of them. But we watch the Championship here. We know it's not down to individuals at Brentford. It's pattern of play, chance creation, system. It's about putting those players in good position. So Brentford, I will see tomorrow night at Luton. Should be interesting. Should be open as well. It's Luton, for goodness sake. They love a good old open game, but a little bit tighter recently. So look forward to seeing Brentford again. But Brentford have dropped points in each of the last 3 games. They've drawn all 3 of them. And if there's any kind of continuation of the last 2-3 weeks, then it's going to be a bit of a procession for Leeds and West Brom, because that gap will keep on building. Eco says, come on, Luton. Let's go on to Forest, who've had a little slip as well, haven't they? All 3 of those teams have slipped at the wrong time. Forest, loss, draw. And considering this is against QPR, who, let me bring up the defensive records, only Luton have conceded more goals than QPR. To draw a blank at home is a bit disappointing for a Forest team chasing up the top of the table. I've said for a long while Forest would be a good playoff team. I've also said Forest are better at playing teams that come at them, that they can then set their shape up and counter off in a similar way to Derby did to Fulham. Maybe Forest are a little bit stronger without the ball than Derby, but you take my point. So yeah, Forest drawing 0-0 there leaves them in 5th place. Obviously, Bristol City's big defeat to West Brom keeps everyone there. Super Lee says, anyone making a journey down to Hull, I will be doing a half-time reaction. I will be there, Super Lee. Give me a shout, and we'll do something on the channel before the game if you so desire. So yeah, speaking of QPR, unbeaten in 3. Couple of clean sheets in there as well. 2 0-0 draws away. Maybe that's what they're going to do. They'll just draw the away games 0-0 and then go all out attacking the home games. But QPR in 15th. You're just looking at the top half if you're in and around those positions, aren't you? So yeah, QPR keep on. Preston are in good form. I thought they would have dropped away by now. I always get Preston wrong. They beat Hull 2-1. Wilkes is playing quite well for Hull though, isn't he? He's been involved in goals. I'm in the home end talk Leeds, but I'll be milling around beforehand or afterwards or whatever in that massive urban horrible car park. There we go. Leeds TV piggybacking off Ben's success, and I am for one sick of it. Of course not, absolutely not. God, there's plenty of Leeds channels with billions more followers than I've got. Gallagher from the penalty spot. How many penalties have Preston had this season? Must be double figures now, surely. Someone tell me in the chat. Alan Brown, I love this goal as well. It's a perfect, there's no way he should be scoring this between the 2 centre-halves. Perfect cross, perfect header, great goal. If you're the centre-half, you're like, how on earth did that happen? So Preston, in really nice form actually. That is 13 points from 6. They've been accused on the channel of flat track bullying. There's still not much evidence. Benjamin says, stop attending Leeds games. Curse is over, it's done. It's done at Brentford and Leeds are on the march here. John says, Blues have only had 2 penalties this season. Someone find out how many Preston have had. It's ridiculous, the number they've had. I'm not saying they don't deserve them, it's just an absurdly high number, I believe. So yeah, we still need to be proved that Preston aren't a flat track bully, because people will fancy them in the playoffs. Although then again, if you're going to finish 6th, because I don't see I say that, Preston are only 1 point off third, aren't they, for goodness sake? But surely Preston aren't going to finish up in third. I've been wrong all season about them, haven't I? I think Preston would prefer to be 6th or 5th and play the home game first in the playoffs, to be honest, than try and stick a bit of a lead on there. Samuel says, presuming the top 6 stays is, who would you back for the third promotion spot? God, you could see Forest and Preston shithouse in both Brentford and Fulham. They're arguably the 2 football teams, and then God, it's anybody's. You'd fancy, in terms of the managers there, you'd fancy Sabri Lamouchi actually. Although Alex Neil's won the playoffs with Norwich before, but remember he had a very good, very highly paid Norwich team there as a much younger manager, but certainly he's come on well since then. So yeah, Hull, well, they're on the Jared Bowen slide, aren't they? Just not had any wins since then. Mr. E makes a good point actually. Know more about Preston after the next 2 games, and I read them out. I think one was against West Brom and one was against Fulham, wasn't it? So yeah, well, he's totally right, Mr. E. We'll see. We'll see if they are flat track bullies or not. Then Streaky Lee is on a losing streak again. We've already spoken about Bristol City. They're in 7th place. They got walloped by West Brom, didn't they? But still on the edges of it. But now, having gone 3 wins in 4, it's now 3 defeats in 4, which is the thing that Bristol City fans don't like me accusing Lee Johnson of. But the evidence does still keep stacking up for that. We've done Blackburn. Let's go on to Swansea, who are 5 off the playoffs. James says Borough haven't won since January the 1st. Leeds, therefore, guaranteed to lose. Alex Woodgate as well. Leeds are not going to lose to Borough. We'll do the projections tomorrow. But so Swansea 3, Huddersfield 1. I don't see Swansea getting in the playoffs. I think it's a more significant result for Huddersfield. We'll speak about them in a second. AU, he's had a good season. I'm surprised he's hung around and knuckled down. But the issue with Swansea is that parachutes are, so they're on year 3 next year, so it'll drop to 15 million for them. They're not going to be able to afford to keep people like AU around, and then you'd worry if buyers got sold. You fancy Graham Potter to take him to Brighton, wouldn't you? Anyway, AU takes the lead. Mounier with the equaliser on 78, explodes your goals at the end here. Fulton then from the corner on 80, and Garrick, didn't he score? I think he scored a couple in quick succession actually. Garrick, new player to me there. So Swansea still in 9th. They're 5 off the playoffs, and if you look at the form, it's only 6 points in the last 6. So not great. But Huddersfield, for goodness sakes. I'd said for ages, Huddersfield will be okay. They'll gradually move away. Well, they've got 36 points from 34 games. We look at points parity, 1 point per game, and I hate to be smug about this, I'm exactly right about that because Wigan are on 34 from 34. So you're looking at scoring above that, projecting 46 plus for survival, and Huddersfield just aren't doing it in the last 3 games, 1 point in the last 3. Jeff Fish says, just Leeds fans and Ben on here. It's good when Leeds win, isn't it? Hey, full of Leeds fans. So yeah, Huddersfield not moving away at all. And you would worry, but yeah, we'll speak about Borough in a minute as well. Huddersfield need to really get their acts together because they just haven't managed to get themselves clear. I mean, I know Borough have dropped back down, but that type of run where you actually move up into 19th, well, look at where Stoke are. But look at that, 34 Wigan, 36, 37, 37, and Barnsley having won a couple on the trot, are only 3 off Wigan as well now. The issue is teams at the bottom, these runs don't tend to last long. That's why they're at the bottom, let's just say. Moving on to Millwall. No, we're moving on to Cardiff, who did go under to Stoke. That was 2-0. Callum Patterson own goal. How many times under Warnock and over the last few seasons have we seen Callum Patterson bundled some goal in from a throw-in or corner? So some kind of justice, seeing the ball bouncing off him into his own goal, or am I being Schadenfreudist there? Joe Allen with the winner on 72 to give Stoke the win. see, Stoke look more upwardly mobile. I know they've got 3 defeats in the last 6, but they've got 3 wins, and it's just getting those wins. See, Stoke have got 11 wins now and 37 points. So you think 10 more points takes them to 47. 10 more points from 12 games, that should be doable, given Stoke can actually win games. So that looks good for them. Millwall, yeah, they were up near the playoffs, weren't they? I mean, they've only lost 9 games this season. That's the same amount as Fulham and only 1 more than Leeds. But they've lost 3 in the last 6. Obviously, that big unbeaten run under Gary Rowett from really first joining, now starting to take a bit of a battering. Only 5 points from the last 6. That leaves Millwall 7 points outside the playoff positions. Another team taking a bit of a battering are Sheffield Wednesday, who drew 3-3 with Birmingham. Wednesday can't have won in the last 6, or they definitely haven't won in the last 6 because I've got it in front of me, but it must be a couple more then since they beat them. Little Crow says, dreadful Millwall performance for the first half. Mason Bennett came on and was an absolute handful, but the damage was done. Little Crow, where did they put Bennett? Did they play him up down the middle, or did they play him in a wide in a 4-3-3? Because I've seen him play both for Derby. Wednesday 3, Birmingham 3. Birmingham getting away with one here because they were behind going into the last minute. Murphy own goal, then Bannon with a long range, then Jukovic, he's back in good form. Wide left, interesting. Okay, Wednesday ain't won since beating Leeds. There you go, the curse continues, same for us. Yeah, this stat that anyone who beats Leeds uses up all their energy and then loses the next game. Seems to happen. Forestieri sticks a penalty in for 2-2. Then Jacob Murphy, as every single player who ever scores an own goal in the game seems to do, then scores at the other end. And Scott Hogan, as John mentioned in the chat, nice little, it's route one, but really good technique, nice flick on and volley there, good partnership up top, Jukovic and Hogan. Super LUFC, do you have to remind to Leeds? Yeah, you're at the top of the league, Super LUFC. So spool back. Lots of Leeds chat in the feed though, so all good. So yeah, 3-3. Birmingham moving on nicely, looking good for the top half. I don't know whether it's just January and Scott Hogan coming, but that seems to have made all the difference. Bellingham seems to be getting better and better. Bella as well. And is Hogan bringing out the best in Jukovic? Favourite stadium in the Championship? God, it was Villa Park. I suppose there's some magic about Derby, being as it's worth 20 million more than everyone else said. I'm only joking, Derby fans. But speaking of which, we've got Wednesday and Derby now. This is really interesting, on 45 points. So from an FFP punishment point of view now, they are both exactly 11 points off 22nd, which is the sort of amount of points you might get deducted. So interesting position. Luke says, love Woodgate at Leeds. Love him even more what he's doing at Borough. A lot of empty seats on Wednesday. Yeah, we'll do that preview stuff tomorrow on that one, Luke. But yeah, if you're a Wednesday or a Derby fan, you just want a couple more wins on the board there. Just get that difference even greater. DE says, thought Wednesday were pitching for the title the way they celebrated it. It's weird though, because if you actually look back at the table, they were definitely in for the playoffs, weren't they? But all gone a bit south now, hasn't it? We did Birmingham, we did QPR. Let's talk Reading. No, we did Reading, they lost to Leeds. We did Hull. We did not do Charlton. Now, Charlton have done a brilliant job recently of winning very important home games, i.e. Beating Barnsley 2-1 and now Luton 3-1. Obviously, sandwiched in there, they had that brilliant win away, excuse me, at Forest. And they do for, excuse me, talk too much. They do for Luton here, having Lyle Taylor. Everyone turns it on for Leeds, and it makes me sick. Ben, there you go. That's the issue with the way they play. Yeah, Taylor on 34, Cornick equalises on 36, then Taylor again. Very cocky run up from Lyle Taylor. I have to say, the stroll up and put it in. Lapsley wraps it up on 87. So Charlton have, well, they slid and slid and slid from those first 6 games, didn't they? Dropped right the way down, but I think they've done enough now, haven't they? They're 5 points clear of the drop, and it looks like they can win these home games. So that was a good Luton comment there. Put the comments back in. They disappear so quickly. But put them in again if you want me to read them again. So Charlton have moved away nicely. Luke says he can't see the bottom three changing. Luton had got 2 wins on the trot, and I have to say, if you're down the bottom there and you are scoring 6 points from 3 games, you can accept a defeat. But it's come against a direct rival. I think it was Martin in the chat said there was 2 Luton home games this week, and I will be at Luton tomorrow. Charlton to survive, and Bowyer and his lads to give Leeds the win on the last day. I don't think they're going to need it. Looking at the 5 points clear at the moment. Brad says, I think we win versus Derby tomorrow. Let's all play the cryptic game of who does Brad support. QPR, there we go. We'll see. See how. I have to say, Brad, Rooney was absolutely brilliant the other night, so you'll enjoy watching him if you're that way inclined. And we need to talk about Borough, who, as we've said in the chat here, are going off a cliff at the moment. Draw, loss, draw, loss. And this is at the same time when you look down at the table where in that time Charlton have won 3, Stoke have won 3, Huddersfield have won 2, Wigan have won 3, Barnsley have won 2 and Luton have won 3. So Borough have just dropped right back down into trouble, and they looked like they were going to be out of the bottom 6 for a while, didn't they? But not good. And losing to a direct rival, Hogan to join permanently or Villa to start him all next year. I think it might be best to ask John on that one. I think wages are an issue there, aren't they, with Hogan? But hey, he'll get you goals, and playing up with Jutkovic. Martin says disallowed goal was a real heartbreaker, as was onside. Next 3 games: Brentford, Stoke, and Wigan. Oh, and no Brown apparently. Yeah, so it looked like it went against Luton, didn't it? But Barnsley have won 2 on the trot, having me think that they'd sunk without a trace. They've thrashed Fulham away, and then beaten Borough. So beating your direct rivals beating anyone's good, but beating your direct rivals is really good because it just sucks them in, doesn't it? But a lot of people saying that bottom 3 is the bottom 3. You still look and someone just mentioned parachute payments there. Huddersfield have parachute payments. Stoke have parachute payments. Borough have just come off parachute payments, and they're all above, with respect, little Wigan, Barnsley and Luton with a tenth of the budget probably. So a big failure financially on those clubs' part, but we'll see if they can dig their way out. Right, I think we have done every game. So look, in conclusion, hotting up a bit down the bottom. Bad day for Middlesbrough and Huddersfield. Good day for West Brom and Leeds up the top. Playoffs look really, really open, but as in those 4 teams could change positions, but can you see anybody else getting in? Let me know any questions in. Who do Brentford, Fulham and Forest play on Saturday? We'll do Super Leagues, we'll do the predictions tomorrow. I'll try and bang them out before I go to Luton versus Brentford. Anyone got any questions in the chat? I'll take them. I'm sure you're looking. Liverpool are on the telly, so I'm sure you're going to disappear and watch Liverpool and some hyper heavy metal football or whatever Jurgen Klopp calls it. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. Hit subscribe and ring the bell. You can support monetarily on Patreon as well. Looks all quiet in the chat, so I will sign off here. I'll try and get on tomorrow. If not, check out the Luton Brentford review. That will be up, I guess, about 10:30 if I can get some mobile signal to upload it in lovely Luton. Luke says, who am I going to last game of the season? That's a difficult one, Luke. I'll try and get to the one that's got the most riding on it, which may well not be the top 2. It may well be a lower one or a playoff one, but we'll have a look. Right, thank you Jasper in the chat, thank you Martin with the thumb up. We'll see you all soon. Thank you Go for IT, who says Leeds, which is 1 less Leeds than we normally get in those chats. Yes, we will miss Leeds if they go up, won't they? Please don't go to any Leeds matches. Curse is over, man. Super Rally FC, I will be at Hull on Saturday. See you there, although if I say that you're just going to beat me up and steal my tickets or something. Right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Go and watch Liverpool, and I'll see you all soon. Over and out.